At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today and let us surprise you.
Monday.com AI agents took over my work, and I absolutely love it. Chasing deadlines, writing status reports, updating stakeholders. Agents handle the daily grind now. I stay in the loop only when it matters. Create your own AI agent in minutes on Monday.com.
All right, so we are back, Partners in True Crime, and we have a bevy of people here. We have people from all over the country. We have East Coast, West Coast, Central, in the middle of the country. We have the True Crime Broads, Crystal and Renee, and we have Laura Brand, our serial killer whisperer, where it's like crossover episode here. 2 crossover episodes. It's really interesting. Awesome. But we met Crystal at CrimeCon a couple weekends ago, and we've been talking to them about this case that they have, Missy, and one of the things that was very interesting about it that we discovered, and then we let Laura about this, that there were in the killing there were tools involved. Now, if everybody knows the amount of podcasts we have done on the Toolbox Killers, Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris, I mean, Laura's, when we told her about this, her ears perked up, and she said tools, because it's kind of rare that you hear about this. So, Laura, I just wanted to first of all introduce you to Crystal and Renee.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Laura.
Hey.
Nice to meet you.
Too.
I've heard awesome things about you.
Same.
Yeah, Laura's our rock star. But Laura, when the one thing that was great about the True Crime Broads over here is that they do kind of like what we do. They do like a deep dive. They've been in Missy's case for years, like a decade.
I just listened to the podcast for a second time right before I hopped on, and you guys really did some really extensive research into it. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
we've been obsessing for about 6 years now, haven't we, Renee? Well, longer than that,
10
but on
total,
our show,
but 6
on our show for 6. Yeah.
So, what did you think about some of the facts that they came up, and the fact that this killer dressed like a cop, and then also used some tools in order to perform his
or her?
Yeah, we don't know.
Well, that's what was surprising me too. So I wanted to get like all the facts straight. So she, Missy didn't go to that church, or we don't even know if she had any affiliation to that church.
That's correct. She and her husband attended a different church about 5 minutes away from there.
Okay.
Yeah,
she only had that for her location. They allowed her to use that to teach her Camp Gladiator, the workout boot camp classes. So that was her only affiliation that we're aware of.
Oh. And it was, let's see, what was I going to ask about what did you think about the Altima? Do you think that could be the perp, or do you think this is just somebody who just pulled over?
I think it could be, but I could also see it not being. I don't see any strong evidence either way. I'm just sort of like, it's a piece of information that's there. Yeah. And until it's ruled in or out, it should probably stay on the radar.
Yeah, you have a different opinion though.
Yeah, one of the things that people often say, the reason that they tend to lean towards untargeted is because the perp crosses or passes by the front awning doors where Missy enters the church not long before she arrives. And so they think there's no way that's targeted because they wouldn't have done that. But I tend to think, and this is just my own speculation, that the person in the Ultima is watching out, which is why they're so comfortable knowing that they have someone that can alert them, hey, she's pulling in. There's a vehicle pulling in the church now. Get in position, that kind of thing. That's just my own speculation. I don't really have anything to back it up other than my own thoughts on there's a few other things that kind of go with it, but yeah.
What do you think about, Renee, about the Ultima being there at 2:00 in the morning and the murder not being till like 4:30?
Because for one, there was a camera that triggered at the church right around that same time that the Ultima was at the church. I mean, at the SWFA. I'm sorry. And
Mhm.
then the other thing is that I actually spoke to a woman whose husband passed by the SWFA every single morning on his way to work,
I
and he
remember.
passed by at 4 a.m. every morning. And the morning of the murder, of course, he didn't know about it because it was 4 a.m. He passed by SWFA, and there was a car in the parking lot, a silver sedan. And so he contacted police department, and they said, okay, come in and we'll, talk to you about it. So he did. And then I think they followed up with him like 3 or 4 times. And so that puts the car, I mean, not for sure, but the same, description of vehicle back at the SWFA right before the murder. So that kind of gives me more thinking that it's definitely involved.
Mhm. What was the street like? I mean, is it a big town where she is, or would there have been any like foot traffic or?
At the time of the murder, it was about 30,000 people, right, Renee? Midlothian? 30,000 people. I think it's up to like 40 now because DFW has just been exploding.
Maybe even 50.
Right. But at the time of the murder, it was 30,000 people. And it's not as out in the country as people make it sound, because 287 has through traffic on it all night. And that is where the gun store is that Renee just talked about, called SWFA. And then the church is catty corner half a mile down the street. I think it's 0.6 of a mile. Catty corner down 287. So this isn't the country, but it's definitely leans more rural than city, but it's still more like a suburb. It's not out in the country.
Yeah.
I've heard so many reports say, if it was a desolate area. It's really not. There's traffic on 287 all night long.
Well, the fact that 287 is right there means that they could have gotten away very quickly and been far away in a very short period of time.
Laura, are you surprised that she didn't know anyone at that church besides her workout class that she was holding there, that she didn't attend that church regularly?
I'm not really surprised. I mean, she still has a connection to the church. She was still going there to teach. So it's still a pattern of behavior she would have been doing for a couple of weeks. But it's interesting about the interstate. How close, proximity-wise, from the interstate to the church is it?
Very close.
It sits right on it. It's set back a little bit, but that's the address of the church, is 287.
Do a lot of long haul truckers take that interstate?
Yes. And they do have traffic throughout the night. So although, because sometimes you hear national reports and they'll say it was out in the middle of nowhere with no traffic, and that's not really the truth. There's 287. There's through traffic that people who have nothing to do with Midlothian are passing through.
She did have a connection to the church, though. She had someone that she either worked out with or worked with. I don't remember that part, but they were the ones that actually got her set up with that location to do the workouts at the church. So she did have a connection there. I just can't, it was a man, but I just can't remember. I think it was somebody because she thanked him on her social media.
Yeah, I've got a screenshot of that. We'll pull that up. Yeah, some man had helped her secure that, but we don't know how she knew him. Perhaps someone suggested it, because these Camp Gladiator instructors are always looking for locations. It's called a parking lot workout. So I'm sure you're familiar with that. You've probably seen them. And they're usually really early in the morning in a grocery store parking lot or a restaurant parking lot. And in this case, it was a church parking lot, but she happened to be moving her class inside that morning because the rain was too punishing to be outside.
Yeah. And how many times had she done that workout at that location before? Is it the first time, or?
No, it had been going on for about... Wasn't it a couple of months, Renee?
I think it was like 8 months. I think it started
the previous
year, like August of the previous year.
August of 2015. Right. Yeah, I think you're right.
And she would post all this stuff on Facebook. So anybody within the Facebook group and anybody who shares it, I mean, you're kind of, it's kind of like they knew where that was going to be, what time, and all that.
She had a public profile, so anybody could go on her profile and see it. You can still do it today.
Yeah, you can still see it on there today on her Facebook. And she wanted people to see it because the more people who come, the more money those people make. So she was wanting to spread the word and grow her classes. So she had that information.
open for both male and females to join?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And was it a free class, or did people have to pay for it?
It costs money. You pay by wasn't it 6-week chunks, Renee? Something like that. You could sign up for a free class, but after that you are expected to sign up and pay.
Did you guys get like a list of everybody who took the class?
No, ironically, we talked to the head of Camp Gladiator that was over that area, and she said that didn't she tell us, Renee, that I'm sorry I keep asking her. It's been so many years on some of this stuff. Didn't she tell us when she was on our show umpteen years ago? Didn't she say that police never asked her for that roster, or that she had to?
They never asked her. She had to call and give it to them.
Yeah, that's what I was remembering. So she said that she gave it to MPD, Midlothian Police, and said, here is a list of everybody who was registered that day, because Missy had an iPad that she would set up on a table, and people would come in and register, or if they were a guest, they would have to give their information, and everyone was supposed to be logged like that.
Mm-hmm.
We have a good idea of some of the people, but we couldn't give you I mean, not that you're asking, I'm just saying we couldn't give anyone an exact list of everybody, but we have a pretty good idea of a lot of the people that were there the day of the murder. But
yeah. And if you were driving on the interstate, could you see the church?
Yes.
Like, it's tall enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a one-story church, but you can still see it. It's not like an old-timey church with a big steeple or anything. It's more that modern style, where it's a little bit shorter, but you can still see it from pretty much all angles. Wouldn't you say, Renee?
Yes.
You know that area a little bit better than I do, since you still live there. But yeah, I think it's visible from every angle.
Yeah, it's even visible from SWFA.
Okay. Is there like trees around it, or buildings, or a graveyard, or is it kind of just sitting?
There's some trees. There's some trees.
There's trees. There's a lot of field on each side of it. Across the street, there's a business called Firefly Gardens that is a wedding venue, and they were there at the time, which is really weird because there's a camera that sits right in their driveway that points straight across the highway at the Creekside Church of Christ driveway. That just kind of blows my mind. And then there's houses next to each one of those between Firefly Gardens and SWFA, which is on the north side of 287.
Wow. And nothing was captured?
Say it again.
Nothing was.
I don't know. I reached out to them years ago and never got a response from them. And police only, actually some other people mentioned one time that there were 2 locations that the police got video from, and it was I think it was an eyeglass store or vision center, I guess, and then Whataburger, which they didn't get anything from that, and maybe a dental office, but that one was never mentioned, and I thought that was weird because that camera faces, straight head on to Creekside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is weird.
Well, they may not have released it. They may have it.
Yeah.
But if they have it, in my opinion, I don't see how they don't have more info, but I guess they do, and it's not sharing it.
Right.
So can you guys walk me through the timeline of the day of exactly what happened leading up to going into the church?
Yeah. And you're referring to when Missy arrives at the church?
Start with because the guy was there before, right? Who pulled over.
Mm-hmm.
Start around there. And had he already pulled when they broke the window? That was after he had sat there for a while, right?
No, the camera, we don't know about that. The camera trigger was close around the time that the Ultimo was seen over at SWFA, but it was just a camera trigger. So they kind of assumed that would possibly be when they broke maybe a window to see if maybe there was a silent alarm of some sort. Mm-hmm. That kind of makes sense to me in my head. Like I said, no confirmation on that. Mm-hmm. And then it is I then forgot the time now, Crystal. 3:56, 3:58. It's 3:58 when the perp is first seen on camera. Although they do believe that the person spent some time in the kitchen before they come out and are seen on camera. And so they come to walking around, and they're just kind of walking around and opening up doors, walking in rooms, and coming right back out. Like they walk in and come right back out. Then there's one door that they, what I always say, pretend to break into. And then at the end of the video that police released on YouTube, they're taking their hammer and they're breaking glass in one of the rooms that they were told mentioned to have been rummaging around in at one point. And then it's approximately 4:18 when Missy arrives at the church. She gets out of her vehicle. She gets her key and goes to the back of her truck, unlocks the truck. And I'm obviously haven't seen a video. I'm just giving you what information we know and kind of putting it together. Unlocks the back of her truck to get stuff out. She did go to the side of her truck and get something out. And the way they know that is because her purse was kind of sitting there with her wallet on the seat, and the door was ajar. So she goes inside with the key still in the back of her truck, goes inside the church, and then apparently walks down the hall, and within 2 minutes, she's murdered.
And they were in full gear when he or she.
Yeah,
when they're first seen on camera, totally covered.
Yeah, I mean, when we looked at the video, it looked awkward. I mean, the person who was in this full gear was obviously something. It looked kind of new. It didn't look like, almost like costumey. It didn't, like, the person didn't look comfortable walking in the shoes. They had like this gait or body language person examine the gait to determine whether it was a male or female, but it could have been just a small male, maybe. And like, because the clothes didn't even look like it fit them.
Right.
No, I wouldn't expect that too, because if they're trying to disguise themselves, like the first thing they can do is, sometimes they'll put like soles in their boots to bring up their height, or baggy clothing to where they can crouch their knees down to look shorter, or some type of manipulation. So that tells you a lot. They're trying to manipulate the way they are looking. They're not comfortable, in their clothing, trying to disguise themselves. I mean, that's all organized.
Laura, did you have any impressions that it could potentially have been a woman?
I want to get there because I did see some stuff that I'm going to go over too. Because I did take some notes too. Okay, so you guys also said when the person was in like the full tactical gear, the person was about approximately 5'6", but they swayed like a woman when they're moving.
It's 5'2" to 5'8", and 5/8 of an inch one way or the other was the actual height that the police gave. It did change. It was started out at 6 foot in the very beginning, but then they redacted, giving the male pronouns, and they also went back and did an actual Tarrant County was it that went through there and did an actual redo of that. They actually did it like what am I trying to say, Crystal? When they redid the whole,
like a reenactment.
Yes, and they decided that the perp was between 5'2" and 5'8" and 5/8 of an inch one way or another, and that the person kind of had a feminine sway.
Midlothian police sent the video to the Tarrant County District Attorney's Office. They had just opened this big state-of-the-art lab, like just a few months before the murder. And so they sent the video over there, and it was analyzed at that lab. And we have not been able to get that report. We have tried.
Well, you can, I mean, just from your eyeball and just looking at the door frames, you can see that this person is not a big person.
Yeah, they're not 6 foot, that's for sure.
And after CrimeCon 2021, it was in Austin that year. We drove back through and we went to the church, and I had Renee stand in front of the Dutch door, the part where the perpetrator pulls it. And it hit Renee just about the same place it hit the perpetrator, that door right around the abdomen area. And Renee is 5'2.5". So I know that's not scientific because some people have long torsos, some people have longer legs, but that, it's probably not a 6'2" person, right? It's going to be someone more like Renee's height.
Right.
Yeah. They didn't look like a large person, even though the camera angle is more from a kind of surveillance high angle. You can still, I mean, that's like, I don't know if you ever go into convenience stores and when you're leaving and they have that that height marker
Mm-hmm.
that's walking out, so they can kind of identify if
Yes.
anybody tries to do it, and they can tell.
Yes.
So that you use door frames and everything to kind of really,
Mhm.
eyeball someone's height.
When he was inside, when he first went in, you said he went to the kitchen?
They said they spent some time in the kitchen, and the first time they're seen on camera was 3:58 a.m. So we've heard conflicting reports of where the perpetrator came in through, so it's kind of weird. But I believe there's two people in there. So if one of them came in through the kitchen, that makes sense that they're in the kitchen for a while, and then they come out of the kitchen and they're finally seen on video because there is no cameras in the kitchen. So that makes sense.
Yeah, so I was wondering if they knew where to go, if they knew where the kitchen was, if it was like if you hadn't been in there before, could you find it or know where to go?
Probably so. It's funny that it just seems like such a small building when you're in it. When you see the surveillance cameras, you know how it's up high in the corners and it makes everything look bigger. But when Renee and I visited, we couldn't believe how small that church is. We just walked. What it take us just a few minutes to walk the whole interior. It's not big. So I would think that in that 30 minutes that the perpetrator had alone in that church, at least 30 minutes, it would be pretty easy to figure out where everything was in that length of time.
Do you think he was doing that during that 30 minutes as he was kind of going around all the grounds to see what it was looking like, kind of scouting out the area for it?
Yeah, probably so. And just trying to figure out how that person was going to put together the attack when Missy walked in. And also, those are motion activated cameras. So every time the perp would get within a certain range of the camera, it pops on. And, the murder itself was not caught on camera. So I guess the perp knew to lure her off into an area. Perhaps that was intentional. We don't know, of course.
But that's interesting, because how would you know that if you've never been there before?
Right.
Well, maybe they scoped out where the cameras were when that 30 minutes of walking.
Yeah, they're
around.
28.
That's true.
They're 28 minutes of walking around. I guess they got to know it pretty well.
Or the perpetrator could have visited the church at some point.
Yeah. The other thing that was interesting. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Laura.
I was gonna say, I just don't get it. Wouldn't you typically you would smash out the cameras, get rid of the cameras?
Yeah,
Take the
right.
out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
this person seemed to be enjoying prancing around on camera. It's very strange.
Laura, that's what made me think of some of the serial killers we've talked to, especially Serial Killer X and a few of the others, where they want people to know.
This was a ton. Yeah.
I just thought that was it was an interesting thing, because it didn't make sense to us. Why wouldn't they smash out the cameras?
Right.
Right.
And why intentionally go in there knowing there's a chance you're on camera?
But
It was a bold person.
Renee, you said something interesting. You said you thought there were two people there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always thought there was two people because there's a couple reasons. On one of the when the person is over at the door and they're fiddling with it and they put the tools back in the front part of their vest, and they turn around and they pop their hip, which is why I think it's female, and then they walk across. You can look at their boots, and then you can tell that they have their pants bloused, and they're wearing them kind of like the military or the police or SWAT do. And then there's another part at the very end of the video where the person is taking the hammer and they're hitting the glass, and you can see the glass because the camera kind of pans in and zooms, and you can see the glass on the floor, and they have on regular police shoes. It's no longer boots. You can even see the pants. So it's very weird to me. I know people were like, well, there's too many pixels, you can't really see it. I don't know. I feel like I can see it, and I wasn't looking for that. I was just watching the video. So, and a lot of people agree that it looks like regular shoes there and regular pants. It doesn't look like, there's no sign of a pant leg or anything like that anywhere else but there.
Yeah. Do you think maybe they could have been under the influence of something that might, because to me, the way they were walking there was no purpose in their walk.
Right.
They
do seem like they're wasting time waiting for Missy to get there. They don't really have a goal, just wandering about.
Which is another reason that I think there's two people, because I think that they were comfortable enough knowing that they had someone to warn them, because it would be, I would never do anything like this, obviously, but if I would want to have like somebody watching, because I'm going to get caught. somebody's going to catch me off guard or whatever. So if somebody's watching and can kind of, hey, to let me know when, a truck pulls in, because that's what she drove. Let me know when a truck pulls in. Doesn't matter what color. I just need to know a truck's coming. It would make it that much easier for them to be successful at what they're doing.
One thing after us walking the church, and knowing how dark it was that night, and it was raining, and it was still, the sun didn't come up for probably at least a few hours after the murder. There's a lot of glass. There's lots of windows and glass doors, where those main doors are all glass pretty much. Whenever because a lot of people say they think it's untargeted because the perpetrator didn't seem to be in the right position, or all kinds of different theories. Renee, we've heard them over the years that the perpetrator seemed to not be there for Missy because they weren't positioned correctly. But I honestly think that if you're in that church, it's not big, there's tons of glass. If the perpetrator, if Missy were to pull up in her truck, of course she would have her headlights on. You would see that from every angle of the church. It would illuminate everything. So I really don't think that this theory about the perpetrator was surprised by Missy and then killed her because she walked in. I think that the perpetrator would have known a long time before she walked in that she was present, because you would see those headlights, because she drove right against those windows and against the glass doors as she pulled around to the awning to unload. You know what I mean? I just don't feel like the perpetrator was in the church and all of a sudden Missy pops up inside. I just think that would be hard to do.
Yeah, I don't think it's kind of like a break-in gone wrong. I mean, because what was anything stolen from the church, and what was in there?
We don't even know. We heard that they take the money immediately to the bank. I don't know if that's confirmed, Renee, but most churches do that. Do you remember if that was ever confirmed?
We just know that it was confirmed nothing was taken.
Yeah, that's police have stood behind that nothing was stolen.
Yeah, so
Laura, what do you
not
think?
even from Missy. Not even
Missy,
from Missy.
Missy and Missy's husband told us she was wearing her wedding ring, her iPhone, her gun was in her truck. Her truck was wide open. Doors were still open because she was unloading when she got killed. So there's literally, they could have just reached down and taken her wedding ring off her finger, and they didn't do that. The perpetrator didn't do that.
What do you think, Laura?
It's all really interesting. Very interesting. I'm trying to think. So if there is two offenders, trying to think, were they both in the same type of getup with the covering of the mask, like head to toe, as well, from what you can see?
I mean, we don't know that there's two people. They've never said that. I mean, they have said perp with a /S, because I guess they wanted to cover their bases to make sure if there was two in any search warrants. But I'm assuming that they wore similar stuff, because the people that I see on the video, they look very similar. You just really have to look for the differences, and there's not many. But I do think that they walk a little different. They work at a different pace, because one time you see the perpetrator messing with that door and they start walking this way. Well, then whenever the camera turns the opposite direction, kind of to see them continuing, it's a different pace and a different walk, if you will. I've watched it millions of times, it feels like, and it's just different. I mean, I don't think a person's going to be walking and then in the middle of a walk they're going to change their pace. I guess they could if they're trying to slow down, like, oh my gosh, what is that? But they're literally in the process of walking, and it changes.
The offender was, maybe changed his shoes or something that, that we didn't see.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
Walk to make it almost seem like there were two.
Yeah, that's true.
The other thing I was thinking also is that instead of possibly being a small female, could have been a teenage male.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Cosplaying as a cop. Coming in, and I don't know. I mean, because that could be the other thing too. I mean, a lot of that has happened in the last couple of years.
Laura, do you think it's odd that the perpetrator didn't take anything from Missy?
I almost don't believe that, dude. Because I think if he took something, you might not even notice. Like, he could take a lock of hair, like that. A lot of people take that. it could be something like that on her body, or maybe something in her purse that like you wouldn't be aware of, or maybe nobody would notice was missing. You can take just like, a couple inches off the back of your hair. People don't typically notice that kind of stuff. It just seemed like this guy's going to walk away with no trophy from that, especially after a brutal attack like that.
Yeah, and the fact that she had a pretty big social media following on Facebook because she was promoting herself on that, and I saw pictures of her. I mean, she was in great shape, and so I'm sure she posted all those pictures of her in great shape. So you have maybe someone online basically getting into her and stalking her online, and like I said, she was having problems with her marriage. So there's that element there. I mean, they cleared the husband, but she was having a relationship with someone, and whether it was physical or emotional, it was the beginning part of it. So you have a married woman, she had children, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there you have that. The marriage is on the downswing. She's transformed herself into this fitness queen, and she probably feels great about herself, feeling her oats and promoting herself. And she's I used to work in gyms when I was younger too. I mean, there's a whole, culture surrounding the group of people. You get very close to the people at your training and the people at the gym, and you never know really who they are. You just know who they are when they're with you at the gym and you're training them. But it's people get attached and people get kind of weird. You never know what they're like in their private life. And there's a lot of what ifs here that can show a potential cornucopia of suspects. Like it could be former lover, someone who's like jealous of her, who's taking her class, someone that is a sister or a brother of someone that she's having an affair with, that found out about it, or it could be just someone that's just friggin' jealous. You don't know.
I mean, Laura, what do you think? Just looking at the evidence in the crime scene and the perpetrator, do you think it was vengeful?
Well, I want was okay. So the husband, did he have like a girl on the side, or was he seeing anybody else?
Renee, do you know?
Not that we've ever heard. I mean, there's always been lots of rumors and so forth, but nothing that's ever been proven. I mean, he did get married after Missy was murdered, but it was a couple years later, and it was somebody that he knew before, and that went to church with him and Missy. But I think that was just, something that happened afterwards.
Yeah.
Well,
something that always stuck out. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, why don't you tell Laura a little bit more about the physicality of the crime scene and how they found her? Because I think that'll help her, that kind of stuff.
She was found in the church, down the hallway. She had the awning entrance where she always unloaded her truck and went down the hallway. And there's differing ideas and reports on what happened, but apparently she went walking down that hallway, and there is footage that has not been released to the public, but the forensic podiatrist saw it and he reported on it several times. He said, you see Missy jerk her head, so she's hearing something, but there's no audio. So you don't know. We don't know if she heard a shoe squeak. We don't know if she heard someone say, hey, Missy. We don't know what she heard, but she jerks her head really soon after she comes in. But she's braver than I am. And Renee and I always say, we probably would have hightailed it out of there. But Missy, in a dark church in the rain. I mean, but Missy went down the hallway toward the sound, apparently. And she was kind of flipping on lights. This was told to us by Missy's sister-in-law, who got this from police, that she was flipping on lights and going down that hallway. And apparently at some point toward the end of that hallway, she comes face to face with the killer. And that's when the altercation and the murder happens. But it's something that's always stood out to me about the perpetrator. Now that, since we're talking about the perp, it's such a theatrical way to be breaking into a building and dressed up like that. And it's just so theatrical. There's no reason to dress up like that. It took a long time for that perpetrator to get all that stuff on.
I know. And to buy it.
That's what I wanted Laura to look at this, because in a lot of the work that she's done, they're very meticulous. They're very theatrical in a lot of ways, and they always take a trophy. And this whole thing with the tools and her having puncture wounds in the ME report. I mean, there was some discrepancy over whether or not it was a gun or if it was some of these tools. They don't know exactly what the murder
you had asked that question. I didn't get to it right. She was found lying there, and in the CSI report it says she was surrounded by tools. And then also they say they see the perpetrator walking through the building with tools that some were used in the murder. And what's really creepy, before we realized she had been shot, watching that footage of the perpetrator, you can see the hammer in his or her hand. You know what I'm talking about, that part? And that's really just really frightening. We used to think the hammer for a long time. We thought that was the murder weapon before we learned that she was shot. We were probably at least 2 years into this murder before we got that confirmed that she was shot.
Wow. Why'd they hold on to that? That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
And did they specify the caliber of bullet that she was shot with?
No, but I believe it was probably a revolver, because from what we've kind of heard through different sources, that they didn't find any shell casings when they brought the dog out there, when the ATF came out.
They could have. How many shots was it? Just one?
3 or 4 is what we've been told.
3 or 4. So you could pick up shell casings.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't fall far.
Yeah.
So Laura, what do you think about all that?
I mean, it's so unique. And, I made a note to the helmet stuck out to me.
Mm-hmm.
The helmet. That's really fascinating to me.
What stuck out to you? Because it stuck out to me too.
The helmet. Well,
Mitty knows that just when you thought you had your body all figured out, bam, perimenopause. Suddenly, your hormones are raging like it's puberty round 2. You're waking up at 3 a.m. and dealing with mood swings that have mood swings. Your ears are itchy, your jeans don't fit, you need an industrial-sized fan to cool down, and you've suddenly forgotten the word for microwave. Most women in perimenopause don't know that they are, even though it can last for 10 years. They also don't realize that most of their symptoms are treatable. That's why we built Mitty Health. Mitty is a company built by women who've been through it. Our menopause experts actually listen and treat the real symptoms you're feeling. Your symptoms aren't just common, they're treatable. Schedule a visit with a menopause specialist at Mitty. Visit joinmidi.com. Specialist-led care, virtual visits, insurance eligible. Midlife needs Mitty. Results may vary. Medications prescribed only if clinically appropriate based on a consultation with a clinician. Insurance coverage varies. Check with your plan for coverage.
I mean, I'm trying to think of another crime scene I've seen it at. I haven't. And, I feel like this is a male offender, but I feel like a helmet would be something more of a female might put on if she's going to attack it, especially in that way. But if this is a small man, he might do the same thing.
I just thought the way that person was wearing that helmet, because like I said, I've been around enough SWAT teams, and that's, everything looked like a disheveled SWAT guy. It's like nothing was dialed in. You look at their gear, it's dialed in. It's close to their body. It's like even the police, whatever thing in the back looked like a costume, like a Halloween costume.
It did, and very theatrical, like you said.
Like it was piecemeal together.
Does SWAT typically wear gear that says police or SWAT?
It depends on each municipality. They have acronyms for their teams. They have CERT teams, SWAT teams. Some just say police. But normally SWAT guys, they're usually wearing tactical vests. They're not wearing the big bulky, look like a windbreaker.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a combo outfit to me. Like they kind of improvised on some of it too, because obviously a police officer might wear a helmet if they're driving a motorcycle, but if they're driving a vehicle, they're not going to wear a helmet. So they kind of had to improvise and kind of combine the two. That's just kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, and it looked like just a tactical helmet. That's all it really was. But you can buy everything that person was wearing. You can, independent of the police windbreaker, probably, and you might even be able to get an Army Navy store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or you can
we've also heard experts.
Online too. You can order it online.
We've also heard experts say it looked like police riot gear.
Yeah.
So I guess that's more of the same kind of thing.
Laura, what do you think of the tools with your experience with the toolbox killers?
Well, it's the puncture wounds, the chest and the head. Those are indicators that the victim knew their perpetrator in some capacity, typically.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be like a friend, family member. I'm talking about, it could be an acquaintance. It could be somebody in their workout class. But typically we'll see those types of puncture wounds if there's some type of relationship between the victim and the perpetrator.
Why is that?
They'll just target the face, the head. It's more personal. The chest, head is more personal to them.
Yeah. Now, did they release the medical examiner's report for this, or did you guys see nothing like that?
Sealed up. Yeah.
Sealed
they
up.
won't release it. Mm-hmm.
So they didn't know whether or not the result of the death, but they did say the result of the death was from the gunshot wounds.
That came from the murderdata.org from the FBI. And it said there was a murder in 2016 in Midlothian, Ellis County, with a 45-year-old woman killed by a handgun. And it said revolver / handgun.
All right, so they didn't outwardly, but you guys deduced that that's probably it.
Yeah, there was no other women murdered that whole year, much less that day in Midlothian.
It's interesting after all this time they wouldn't release the whether or not the cause of death.
Laura, what were you going to say?
Oh, where was she shot?
That we don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
Her head and chest is all we heard. Puncture wounds to the head and chest, so we're assuming that that's where the shots were.
Got it.
Yeah. But would they say puncture wounds for gunshots, Laura?
It's so hard to say because it's like we don't know. They really give us nothing with that.
Right.
What
it might have been to mislead the public. I'm not sure.
We did have a guy.
That makes no sense.
I know. We did have a guy that covered this case that is local to Ellis County, and he stated on the Nancy Grace episode that he would bet his mortgage that Missy was killed with a screwdriver in her eye. And so we ended up having him on our podcast because he said that, because we were like, wait, what? We had heard that before. It wasn't the first time we had heard it, but we'd never heard anybody say it that factual and that, he felt safe to say that. We were like, okay. So we had him on, but we really never got any confirmation of where that information came from, that he just felt very secure in it.
Did he repeat that same statement on your podcast?
Yes, he did. That was the sole purpose of having him on.
Laura, what do you think about that? If it was a screwdriver?
Well, that would make him, that's an enucleator. So those are actually extremely rare, but I actually know one down in Texas, but I don't think, no, he wasn't active. One I know in Texas was not active during, what was it, 2016? Right?
2016, yes.
No, he would have been locked up.
And it's interesting. We haven't had, Cheryl McCollum pointed this out on our show. There hasn't been any similar killings like that in the area or even outside the area. Just this person dressing up like that and breaking in the middle of the night and confronting someone and killing them. It's really, like you said, Laura, unique. We haven't seen a pattern of this. It's just weird.
Yeah. It just seems like, unless it's, a U-Haul trucker who, but still, just the way he moved around the church, and when she got in, I don't know.
I think she's something. I think it's someone local, someone in that area.
I think they're in some type of capacity.
Say that again.
I think they knew each other in some type of capacity somehow. And like I said, it could just be, they could have walked by each other in a coffee shop and said hi or something. It can be as simple as that. But the victim and the perpetrator definitely cross paths.
And I think it's very possible that Missy was probably on the perp's radar, maybe more than
I think so.
Was on Missy's radar.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. One-sided.
Yeah. Right. Well, 30 minutes early. before she gets there. I mean, that's a good indicator. He knows her routines, her habits, and when she's coming too.
It's so creepy. It's just right out of a horror movie watching that
Yeah,
video of the perpetrator.
Yeah, because there's no, I mean, you break it down, there's nothing really to steal inside the church.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's nothing, no other activities that are going to be happening at the church other than this event that she does on a, you know, she's been doing it for 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a pattern of someone's going to be there. You know that she's going to be there. You know she's going to get there earlier than everybody else. And so those are patterns that you can really kind of model. Like if someone's, even if they never took her class, but was like ogling her via her Facebook profile and her pictures and stuff like that. Maybe it was someone that knew the person that she was either having an affair with or like an emotional affair or whatever. Not saying that she was, but someone that she was, obviously her marriage was having issues. I mean, it could have been a relative of that person, a friend of that person.
Laura, what do you think? You think it's local? You think it was possibly someone passing through, or you think it's a one-off that they only did it once?
Who had been watching her local. Yeah. I'm wondering, is there any, like, I don't even know what you would call it really, organizations that are like anti-religion or out there?
Yeah, what was the denomination of the church?
At the time, it was Church of Christ at the time. Since then, it has turned into a non-denominational church, but it's still the same name, Creekside.
Okay, so basically a Christian church. So nothing.
Yeah.
So pretty middle of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's also important to note how hard it was raining. This person really wanted to kill Missy. Because I always joke about this, but I mean, I live really close to our local grocery store. I don't go there in the pounding rain. I'll wait, I'll wait until it dries up. So if I was going to drive however long they drove out to that church and dressed up like that and then spend some time outside breaking in, I mean, the weather was just awful.
Yeah.
It's just really strange.
Was there a habit of, obviously, when like she used to do it in the parking lot, but if the weather is bad, they would go inside. So obviously, so there was a habit of putting the class inside when there was inclement weather, when there was bad weather.
And
So
it didn't happen often. It did not happen often. They normally would have it outside. And then if it was only a little bit raining, they would do it under the awning. There was a huge awning. It's not just your typical awning. It's more like a big roof over a patio. And there's plenty of room. We walked it not that long ago. Renee and I did. And we were thinking, yeah, this is kind of weird to call this an awning. This is more like a big roof. And they would do it there if it was only raining a little bit. But this morning, I have a feeling the rain was kind of going sideways and it wouldn't have been possible to even focus on exercising under the big awning. I think that's why they moved it inside. Just the rain was too much.
Yeah.
Laura, what do you think about the weather being?
Oh, the weather was another note I made because, I've seen a lot of kidnappings and stuff that always like they wait for the downpour of rain.
Mm-hmm.
The cameras that can make it harder for us to see the vehicle, license plate, that type of thing. As for the church, I don't know the history of it, but were there any sexual crimes or any allegations of sexual crimes that happened at that specific one?
Not that we are aware of.
No.
Not that we've heard.
Any in the town or in the surrounding like towns, any churches of that kind of stuff?
Mm-mm.
I don't think so.
The smash of the windows is like, and doing it in a church, it almost seems it's like a.
Are you watching the end of it? The very end? That's the part where I was saying, look at the feet. You can see the difference in the shoe and the pants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Why bring attention to yourself by smashing windows?
Exactly.
Very strange. A lot of people think the perpetrator was staging the scene to make it look like a break-in, But that even
Possibly.
that seems like,
What
what's
do you
the
see?
point?
You're on camera. Like,
I know.
what
See,
is-
that's just it.
What's the psychology of that? What is like
Cheryl McCollum's take on it was that the perpetrator wasn't counting on those cameras being there because they look like they're staging a scene.
Are they open, or were the cameras exposed?
Yeah, but
you
they
can
are,
see them.
yeah, they're up in the corners.
It's the little dome ones.
The dome ones, yeah.
Yeah, the dome ones, and then now they've got different ones in the corners, but they're in the kind of in the same place. But I mean, you could tell anybody that knows. I don't know anything about cameras. I don't know it's a camera.
Yeah,
it's so interesting though. There's this one part of the video that Laura's watching where the perp, looks into the camera, and that's the one time the perp does that. So it almost seems like they're going, "Oh, is that camera?"
And then they turn their face really far away when they're passing by that the Holy Grounds, which is the coffee bar. They look up and it's like they see it and they turn their face really far this way, like they're like, maybe I'm so close that they can tell who I am or something. Kind of interesting.
Were the windows like internal windows, or he's smashing them out to the front windows?
No, that's an actual office that he broke that window in. It's across from, actually, it's very close to where Missy was killed, from what we understand. But that is actually an office, and that was where they said that they rummaged through a bunch of, files and things like that. But no, it's actually not outside. It's like right there in the hallway. When you go down to where she was found and take a right, it's right there.
So all internal windows.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the office.
We actually spoke to the person that had installed the doors and windows in that church. It was kind of a fluke. I reached out to people on Facebook and said, does anybody know a door expert? Because we were going to have them on. And it just turned out to be the person that actually did that. So he told us that he repaired, he actually replaced 2 glass doors and then glass in 2 doors. I think he said 2 doors. Anyway, but we asked him to be on, but he declined. His wife didn't think it was a great idea, so he didn't come on. But
that was after the murder, right?
Yeah,
he was actually repairing what the perp did.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he had to replace because he was the one that did it. So,
wow,
that's the beauty of a small town. That when you reach out, sometimes you get the person who actually was there and knows about it.
Yeah,
firsthand. Yeah.
That was kind of
You said
wild.
something interesting, though. You said that the files were rummaged through. Was that at the crime scene? Did that happen before she was murdered, or was that just
before?
I didn't know that was confirmed. I thought that was rumor.
I mean, I thought that we were told that by like Brandon and other people that knew, so that's what I've always heard. But because people were speculating that it had some connection to the church, and I think it was just part of their confusion plan. That's just my thoughts. I'm obviously against speculating, but I mean, to me, it's kind of a shut case in the fact that it's targeted, because when they're pretending to get in that one closet, they're not putting any effort into it. Literally no effort. They're just literally just barely tapping on it. I mean, that proves right there, if you're really trying to destroy the church, or you're really trying to get in there to see what's in there, or whatever you're doing, you're not even trying. You're just like wasting time.
Right.
But I would say, unless you're trying to find something specific, have to discuss this, trying to destroy everything.
It cut out the last thing you said.
Unless you're trying to find something specific, but you don't want like anybody in the cameras to know or watching, so you destroy a ton of stuff and to get to the file or whatever it is that you really ultimately want.
Yeah, I mean, the police even stated that there was no. I mean, did they say that in that way, Crystal, or how do they say it? There was no, the public wasn't in danger of this person running around and doing it more. Basically, it was an isolated incident of sorts. So, I mean,
yeah, they never warned people to, be more cautious or anything like that. They always made it sound like it was targeted.
Yeah.
And police have come out and said it recently, in the last year or so, in their really brief updates. That's the one thing that they have said. I believe Carl Smith said it. He's the chief of police. And then Renee didn't, what's his name? Anthony, help me with his last name.
Are you talking
can't
about
believe
Mark?
I can't think of it. No.
You're talking about
one. The one that's in charge of the case now, supposedly, that he's been on the case since day one, and your friend knew him, dated your friend's daughter.
Oh,
What's his name? I
oh
can't
my
believe I can't think of his name. Whatever his name is. Yeah, he said recently that it is targeted. So I think that
I can't believe
the
it.
police
sounds
the
like
police
it.
think it's the police think it's
It really
targeted. And I
does.
don't believe they've ever really thought it was untargeted. At the very first press conference, they did say, it could have been untargeted or targeted, but then they would follow it up by saying it's just unusual for us to have this kind of activity in, the middle of the night in a church.
Well,
So
I can understand. I can understand their trepidation about giving too much, since it's not that it's a small town, but it's it's a smaller town,
mhm,
and you don't want to alert the criminal that
mhm.
they know what's going on, because they're
Right.
watching the news too. So you don't want
Yeah.
them to flee. You want to make them, like, lull them into complacency. You want them to feel
Mhm,
comfortable, like there's nothing happening in the case while
mhm.
they're working on it. So I understand that part of it, but still, after 10 years, it's like, it's ridiculous. And at
Unbelievable.
that point, you want to throw as much exposure and information. And like you said, the Midlothian PD, I mean, the people that are in charge of the case, you said that the Texas Rangers are interested in it too, or they're working on it as well,
Yes,
which I
finally.
think, yeah, I mean, that it's interesting that they just, at 10 years. So when do they actually take it over? Or are they taking it over, or are they just assisting?
They're assisting. We heard there's one Texas Ranger there working in the office with them,
Mhm.
with Midlothian Police. So that's great. And he's apparently going back to the beginning, starting over, interviewing
Yeah.
people, re-interviewing people, interviewing people they missed, talking to everybody, really, because we heard a couple of people they're talking to, and we're like, wow, that's really digging. That's getting everyone.
That's good.
That's great.
Mhm.
That's what you have to do. And it's just, but
Laura, what do you think?
It's fascinating, very fascinating about the whole thing. I wanted to hear more from you guys about if the possibility of it being a female.
yeah, I mean, to me, it's,
Well, Crystal Renee, what do you think? Do you think that it was a woman? I mean, we've talked
I
about
do.
it before.
I do.
I mean, the person that I see walking across the hall whenever they are tapping on that one door and they turn around, you see their hip pop out, and then they walk, like a female to me. But then again, of course, I see a male too, so at a different point in time. But I do think that person that we mainly see is a female.
I do too. I think this person's going to end up being a very unusual person when we finally find out who they are. This isn't going to be your regular run-of-the-mill murder. Obviously, it already is not, just by looking at the facts. But I think this is a bizarre murder, and the perpetrator is going to be a bizarre person.
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you think it's possible that, if it was two people, it could have been a male and a female, possibly?
I do. I think in my opinion, the female is the ruse. They're the ones that's trying to confuse everybody, and then the male is hidden in the background. And of course, they see them leave, but they're the ones that come out and kill her. That's just my thoughts.
Well, that's typically how male and female partnerships, the killer partnerships, they'll do it that way.
I mean, that makes sense because she was fit. Like, I can't imagine that a small woman would have been able to just take her over like that without a fight.
Right.
Or shooting her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Right.
unfortunately the gun was the leveler there.
Yeah.
And was why Missy wasn't able to fight back.
Yeah. I'm just, to me, it's surprising that they haven't released the report.
Me too.
Yeah.
To me, it's like either that tells me that there's something in the medical examiner's report that kind of shows a unique cause of death.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
if it was a screwdriver to the eye. I mean, a gunshot wound is not controversial.
No.
That's like, that could be ruled as, hey, they were breaking. She walked in on a break-in, pop, 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 she's dead. But the fact that, there's puncture marks that we apparently heard that she had, and who'd we hear that from?
Right.
That's what the police reported.
That's what
Oh,
the
so that's
police
the
have been
police.
saying.
Okay, so that's in the police
Mhm.
report. So that's definitive.
Mhm.
And I mean, I know you probably tried to reach out to her ex-husband or husband at the time.
Mhm. We used to
And
talk to him a lot. Yeah, we used
yeah,
to speak
he
to
didn't
him. There's
indicate any
probably
kind of cause of death or how she died.
No, he said that she was shot and
Okay,
unclear on anything else.
because
It
he would have
seems
seen her body.
Yeah, he did. He did. In fact, I think this is okay to say. I think this is publicly known, Renee, that he insisted on a closed casket. Seems like he told quite a few people that, not just us.
Yeah.
The funeral home was wanting to have an open casket, and he got there and he saw one little thing that he didn't like, and he said, "I already told them that if I see anything that's not perfect, any signs of trauma, we're closing it." And he, at the last minute, literally at the funeral, he said this is going to be closed.
So did he say where the gunshot wounds were? Because if he's looking for a closed casket, the only thing that's appearing in a casket is your face.
Yeah.
Mm.
The head and chest.
I think it was more to, I don't think it was her face, but I think
Or
it was
her head.
still visible from his
Yeah,
point of view.
visible. That's the only thing you're really visible is like
Mhm.
your torso, which is going to be covered with clothes. They do a
Mhm.
great job of, making him look good. But the only thing, if there was something that he's seen,
Yeah.
is so.
I
I mean,
I
to me,
think
it's
I
like
heard him I think I saw him talking about that on Reddit. He's active on Reddit and he uses his real name. So every now and don't you think he said that on Reddit?
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
where
I saw
that's
that.
the only place he communicates.
Yeah, but I thought that's where
Mostly.
I saw that because at first I was thinking, "Oh, I don't want to say something that he told us in confidence," but I've seen that so many places now, not just
Yeah.
him telling us. So
He tells Reddit a
he
lot.
must have told someone else that, yeah. But yeah, it's just been weird. You would think that after 10 years we would be a little bit closer to resolution. We don't know how close the police are to resolution because they're very secretive. So
Right.
it's hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Laura, you have any other questions for them?
No, not right now. God, it's just such a fascinating case. It's really wild. I mean, with the tools in the church and could
yeah.
be a partnership. I mean, that's wild. That's really wild.
And also
Yeah.
with it being a church, I mean, this is the South, right? Even if you're going to be crazy enough to kill someone, people might hesitate to do it. I mean, that's God's
Right.
place. You would
And
think
it
that maybe you wouldn't do it there at least.
Right. And it was on a Sunday. I feel like there is a connection with
Monday.
the church. It would not be that church.
Monday.
specifically,
It
but
was
I
early,
think,
early Monday. Yeah.
yeah. But I think there's some type of connection where the offender may feel victimized from a church or from, religion in that aspect too.
Mhm.
I think it's something we're looking into and exploring.
Mhm.
Yeah. But now it's changed over. So it was a regular Christian
Doesn't matter.
church.
I think she's saying in general. It doesn't even have to be that church.
How
Could
soon?
have just been religion in general, or a Catholic church, or any other type of church. Could have been someone who was victimized and then held that anger.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think to me, it all sounds very personal. And, and if some of the reports are true about the wounds, to the puncture wounds, maybe one of them being the eye with a tool. I mean, Laura, you tell us that's pretty personal.
That it's rare. It's enucleation. But I'm wondering now, is there any anything in the Bible about in the eye at all? I'm trying to think.
We haven't had that confirmed. We've just heard it over the years since day
An eye
one.
for an eye.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
Hammurabi code.
That's
That's
the only one I know.
not. Yeah, that's.
We had
I-
people come into our groups that said, I am very close friends with one of the first responders, and they said that she had a screwdriver in the eye. So still can't say it's
Okay.
confirmed, but we've heard that type of thing enough that Renee and I said, well, we can't really ignore that anymore. There must be something there.
I would just look in the Bibles just to check, see if there's anything with a hammer, see if there's anything with a screwdriver, like any passage, and just see if there's anything that clicks or fits.
And that would explain the fact that if they couldn't reconstruct her eye in the for the funeral, and the husband would probably notice that.
Yeah.
and then want a closed casket. Because if the funeral home's saying, "Oh, she's fine to have an open casket," that means that they've done everything they possibly can to replicate her. And if he sees it, that's like a game time decision where you look at it, no, this is going to reveal something.
So Laura, when Bittaker was using tools like this in ears, did he ever do it in the eye?
No, or at least not that he told me about the eye. The only thing they were talking about doing next was the acid poured into the eye.
Oh gosh.
But using a screwdriver, it's called what? Inoculation?
The eyes, or do any mutilation to the eye. It's enucleation. It's called.
Enucleation. And that stems from what kind of psychosis?
It's actually not even psychosis. It really stems from is more psychopathy with some mental illness typically. But it's we don't really know where it stems from as far as like the childhood goes. It's exceedingly rare. Rare. I think only
very symbolic too.
Yes.
To stab someone in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's not like she was fighting. It looks like she was probably down, and if she was died of gunshot wounds, maybe that was the last thing they did to her.
Yeah. Well, it's just funny how you're in the church and some of the weapons and that it almost seems like this is why I'm saying go into a Bible, pick out like the words like the hammer, the eye, a screwdriver, and just open up passages. Because you got to remember too, like in prison, all they read is the Bible. They know all the passages. So this guy could have been before. There might be something in there that you'll read and you'll be like, oh my God, for her case. And things will start to click.
And you mentioned psychopathy. I think about how the perpetrator looks so calm and cool and collected. Of course, we don't know what's going on inside of them, but they don't look really freaked out. They don't look like I'm gearing up to kill someone. They just look like they're killing time. And maybe that goes along with the psychopathy as well. And then also the fact that this person just sort of went back into society. That would be hard to do after brutally killing someone, I would think, just to sort of blend back in. So this person must be able to maybe not signal what they've done.
But that's also why I was asking Laura, because I was wondering, Laura, do you think that this person has done something like this before?
Or after?
It's hard for me to say that, not knowing the extent of the wounds. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to make that judgment without really knowing.
Well, the fact that they got away with it and they weren't recognized and they had a disguise. I mean, usually doesn't that usually embolden someone, even if it was a crime of like.
Yeah, see, if it was a first crime, you're right. It could embolden them to do it again because they've gotten away with it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that is possible. Yeah.
But the relaxed way in which they moved was really what disturbed me when I first saw that video. And that's what made me think of some of the stories we've heard from serial killers on how they were just like nonchalant about it, like not thinking like anyone's going to bother them. They're going to just get away with it.
Well, I mean, there are elements of organization at the crime scene too. So there is some indicators that he's done this before as well.
That wouldn't surprise me at all, right?
It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fascinating.
It's a weird case. Yeah.
Crazy case.
Crazy
and
case.
I couldn't stop thinking about it after I talked to you guys the other day, because I was like, how has this been going on for this long?
Well, especially when you have the video and you sit there and it's like you replay that in your head.
Haunting video.
I mean, I've only seen the short one. I got to watch the long one, and we'll cut pieces of it into this podcast so people can see. But just to me, it doesn't seem like someone with a sense of urgency. It seems like someone obviously has a plan because they have a disguise, they have things they're doing, and it doesn't seem like someone who is, I don't know, it's just very strange.
They're too calm.
Like
imagine if you're like, all right, let's just say this is a wife of someone who he was, maybe her husband was flirting with Missy or whatever. I mean, if you've never killed anyone before and you're a housewife or whatever, and you're just now at a church, aren't you going to be a little nervous?
I would have been. Renee and I always talk about this. I would have been scared to go into a dark church alone as the perpetrator. I'm not even talking about Missy. Yeah.
Even if you have this plan, Laura, what do you think about that?
I just had a great idea. Send me the video. And I was just thinking, I'm going to send it to the serial killers and I'm going to ask them, is this his first time? And they'll know.
Yeah, they will know.
No, if it's his first time. Yeah.
Renee, wouldn't you say the best video is on the Midlothian Police YouTube channel?
Yeah, and if you
it's uncut,
pieces of it on your on the podcast, just keep in mind, don't use the number that they have on their YouTube because it is incorrect. We've tried to get them to fix it, but they say it's impossible to do that. But yes, there's three.
What number are you talking about?
It's the Crime Stoppers number for anybody
I'll block it out. I'll block it out.
Because it's wrong. So, but there's 3 videos, 8 seconds, 20, and 2 minutes and 20 seconds. I would just use the 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
You know who also we could probably loop in here is Andy. Andy Cahan.
Ooh, who's Andy?
Andy Bond. Is it Andy Bond?
No.
Oh yeah, that's who you were talking about earlier.
No, Andy
Cahan.
Andy Cahan is in.
He's in Houston. Not too far away, but he runs Crime Stoppers.
He's been on our show before.
Cool.
We cover also the Liz Barraza case, another weird Texas, very similar to Missy's if you kind of dig into it. Not at maybe first glance is it similar, but when you get in there, it kind of is. But yes, he's been on our show to discuss the Liz Barraza case. I know exactly who he is. That's awesome.
No, we actually, Laura, we met him face to face in CrimeCon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's friggin' tall.
He's really tall.
He's like 6'5", 6'6".
He's so nice. He's really nice.
Yeah, he is.
Well, this is really interesting. Laura, I would love to hear what the Serial Killer Roundtable would have to say about this.
That would be awesome.
This like Serial Killer Roundtable. We were doing it every week for a while, and basically we were talking to them about current cases that are out there right now to see if they could help us figure out who
the perpetrators
were.
And they look for everything by the walk. That's the first thing they look for is the walk. Which is
oh my God.
I just had a gut feeling that this person has done this before, or there's something else going on here. It's deeper than just a random targeted thing. It's something deeper. I don't know. It's just my gut.
Yeah, I think we got to get the serial killers on. We got to get their takes.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right, guys.
All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your interest in Missy's case. It really means a lot to us.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all doing it again.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing it with us. I think it's fascinating. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Stay on for a second.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Midi knows that just when you thought you had your body all figured out, bam, perimenopause. Suddenly, your hormones are raging like it's puberty round 2. You're waking up at 3 a.m. and dealing with mood swings that have mood swings. Your ears are itchy, your jeans don't fit, you need an industrial-sized fan to cool down, and you've suddenly forgotten the word for microwave. Most women in perimenopause don't know that they are, even though it can last for 10 years. They also don't realize that most of their symptoms are treatable. That's why we built Midi Health. Midi is a company built by women who've been through it. Our menopause experts actually listen and treat the real symptoms you're feeling. Your symptoms aren't just common, they're treatable. Schedule a visit with a menopause specialist at Midi. Visit joinmidi.com. Specialist-led care, virtual visits, insurance eligible. Midlife needs Midi. Results may vary. Medications prescribed only if clinically appropriate based on a consultation with a clinician. Insurance coverage varies. Check with your plan for coverage.